Yo, what is going on? Today we're talking about one of my favorite videos I do every league. For League Star, we do the top 5 League Stars from last league. Last league being 3.24 Necropolis League, and the upcoming league being 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur. Basically what we do is we go through the top 5 League Stars from last league, look at PoE Ninja, pull in some stats, try to get ideas of what we want to test out before the league actually starts, or like even pre-patch notes. Let's try to get an idea of what to expect, what to look out for, and then really for me, it's like what I want to test and what I want to put into a possible league starter for this league. And then, as always, I throw in a little twist in these. I threw a couple honorable mentions. We'll go over those before we get into the actual top 5 build list. Quickly, as always, why do we do this? Before even patch notes come out, I want to start my league start testing already. Been doing it for probably a month already. And then for me personally, it's for guide making. Nothing else to do for batch notes. I'm doing like this. Going to be doing some Eater Exarch runs, A10 runs, things like that. Just trying to get back into PoE style. New Transfigured gems have been coming out still. Those need to be tested. They don't usually get tested at league start. But previously, they usually, unless they're like obviously good, fall off into a later league secondary character for most people. And then, yeah, lastly, we're going to be doing some Eater Exarch runs. So make sure to follow the channel here. Click the subscribe button down below. We'll be posting those as soon as we get like a decent one. Then check out my Twitch link down below as well too. We'll definitely be live streaming those as if I'm going to be doing a grindy run like A10s, isn't too grindy, but Eater Exarch, 4-stone possibly. Turn into like pretty grindy runs. I'll definitely need some entertainment for that. So make sure to check out Twitch link down below. And yeah, let's jump into the list. So where we pull this list from, I always go back to PoE Ninja, check out the first 3 days of the league. Go back in time basically, check out PoE Ninja. I sort by skill and then look for some overlaps, try to combine them together to get a nice consistent top 5. Interesting thing I did this league is that I actually had the data from last league still, so I wanted to take out how it looks. Interesting enough, I think we actually got a lot more parity this league. A lot more just like spread out, looking pretty good. The big thing I think we'll notice is that the bottom tier kind of still remained the bottom tier. So Gladiator hardly gets any play, Raider hardly gets any play, Berserker, yeah, they're just kind of chilling down here. So those haven't changed, but the top like seems to have mixed up or at least balanced itself out a little bit, which is just interesting. It's nice that we see this instead of a 28% Deadeye from last league. All right, let's kick it off. Honorable mention number 1 is Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing. Both these skills are Transfigured gems that didn't see play on league start, but I think if we were to go back in time, knowing how the skills work now and knowing how good they are, they would have been good league starters and possibly in the top 5. So the first one for me is Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing. I would say this on a league starter would probably be a Pathfinder, although I think Trickster and Assassin both have their places. This Poison Concoction, I think it just has really easy gearing. You do a dot poison damage, always kind of a good league starter. You're full chaos damage, so you can basically run any map mobs. You're not worried about reflect. You can do a bunch of expedition stuff. The only one you're worried about is immune to chaos damage. Poison Concoction Bouncing. I think the big worry here was that how does this work? You read the line on here. The skill chains bouncing randomly to deal damage multiple times. This randomly really, I think, for me and maybe anybody else who was thinking about the skill, really threw off what we thought this ability would actually work. But it actually works with the best possible mechanic and reasoning of this line available. The biggest problem the skill is going to have was single target because of the randomness. But basically what happens on a single target is the chain just keeps bouncing on top of itself, on top of the same target. Whereas with the word random, you kind of think they'd be spread out a little bit. That's not actually the case. It just keeps bouncing on top of itself. I'm 100% going to do a Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing league start test. I'll have it posted on this channel this week, hopefully, and do it live on the Twitch stream, of course. But I'll go into more details on Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing then, how that skill works, because it is interesting. You can basically just stack a bunch of projectiles and they'll just keep bouncing on top of the enemy, and you can get a bunch of attack speed. These add up very, very quickly. It's a very fun ability. I haven't checked it out yet. Honorable mention number 2 is Holy Relic of Conviction. Again, this is like kind of a surprise, but I instantly saw this. I'm like, oh, I got another Holy Relic. Kind of sounds pretty good. I'm not a big Holy Relic fan. Let someone else figure out how to do this. Became really good on Necromancer build, as specifically as like a poison application. I don't know if I call this like a true minion build, but it is a minion ability. Basically, what you're going to do, what people are doing is Lancing Steel of Sprain has an insane trigger rate for anything cast on crit. We'll see later, and then summon Holy Relics proc. So Again, this is full chaos damage, you can poison damage dot. You can use support minions because you're taking all the minion nodes basically, and then Jeffrey's Crest I think is a required unique for this build. It gives you 3 relics. Jeffrey's Crest gives you +1 relic, so this regular Summon Holy Relic gives you 1. Summon Holy Relic gives you maximum 2 relics, and then you get +1 from Crest, so you get actually 3 relics. Stack cooldown rate, trigger rate, and you can make this happen a lot, apply a lot to stack poisons very, very quickly, and you're scaling minion damage, and you're a Necromancer, so you can build pretty tanky. It's end up being a very, very good build. Alright, so those are the 2 honorable mentions. I'm going to jump in the top 5 now. Top 5 for me before I jump into it was very, very interesting this league. It wasn't quite what I expected, and there was some similarities between the builds that I think are going to be very interesting and very obvious, so let's just jump into those right now. Top 5 Explosive Arrow. I actually copy-pasted this from my last one. It was 5 also. It just hasn't changed. There's just a group of people that I think really like Explosive Arrow. I know it's a very like beginner-friendly build. I think there's a few different content creators who have made like full playthrough build guides of how to play Explosive Arrow, Ballista. On softcore, we usually see Elementalist. That's the most popular, and then Champion second. Element's a little more offensive. I think it's pretty tanky towards late games too, and then Champion's more defensive off the bat. This is a Ballista Totem build. Nothing's really changed with this build. It's still Ignite Proliferation, Dot, Totem playstyle. It's an excellent Expedition farmer, which is really one of the things for it. Just your Ignite Proliferation, clear out a whole pack. Good bosser, just kind of all around good. So you keep seeing it in the top 5. Don't know how long that'll last, but I don't see anything getting nerfed on this ability. Could be wrong. Just seems like a good ability. A good build. Number 4, interesting, Exsang Mines wasn't in the top 5 last league. Boy, I was surprised to see this up there. I actually don't think this is like it's not a particular build that I enjoy. I played it. I didn't really enjoy it. Didn't play it very much. Saw this as a trickster. Did full cold convert. It has necessary uniques. I screenshotted this from PoE Ninja. They had 3 uniques that were all over 80% used. Grim Sorrow for your full cold convert. This is a pretty common unique. Heat Shiver for extra damage. Cold fire basically. Cold as extra fire. Not a super common unique on day 1 or 2, but not crazy expensive either, crazy rare. And Kikazaro is just kind of a good ring. So that is that. I consider this more of a bosser than a mapper. I know some people are going to disagree because like it chains a bunch, but like its clear is still not super good. Unless you have like really good trap throwing speed and you can use Minefield, then clear gets better. But Minefield's like loss of trap throwing speed makes it feel slow to me. As a trickster, you get a bunch of frenzy charges though, so you can kind of make up for it with charge traps and things like that. Other than that, I think, yeah, this is just a full fizz to cold where you're not scaling the dot of the Exsanguinate. It's just full cold conversion. You have a high fizz hit. So that build kind of works, and it's a mine build, which is interesting because number 3 was also a mine build. We have 2 mine builds that weren't in the top 5 last league are in the top 5 this league. Interesting dynamic there. So again, this is going to be Hexblast Mines. I screenshot this from Path of PoE Ninja as well. There were 5 like semi-popular variants of Saboteur, Occultist, Trickster, Pathfinder, Assassin. I think I actually zoomed this out to a week later. Ended up being mostly everybody was playing Saboteur, Occultist, or Trickster. So that is that. Mine playstyle. So if you don't like mines, you're not gonna like either of these 2 builds. But I think mines are actually pretty fun. I've been playing around with mines a little bit in my league to start testing so far. Hexblast has super easy damage scaling. The only problem with it is you can't really start your game playing Hexblast Mines or Hexblast at all. A Profane Proxy is really required, at least some sort of curse on hit item to basically way less damage if you do not have a hex supply, and then your hex gets removed when you hit, so you need to keep reapplying your hex, so you need like a curse on hit or Profane Proxy to keep reapplying your hex. That said, I think Profane Proxy was like over 90% use. That is usually the way to apply your curse over and over again, so you can keep hitting this 100% more damage with hexed enemies, more damage with ailments. This ability does do Ignite, Freeze, and Shock with any type of damage, so you do your chaos damage. Personally, I don't think I would play this on a Saboteur, maybe day 1, and then switch to a Trickster. Trickster or Occultist seem better to me, just in the long run. Saboteur maybe is better for like immediately day 1. But other than that, I think you're better off with Trickster or Occultist. Last thing I have to explain is cool purple explosion. Looks cool to play. Throw on some Occultist Chaos Dots, Chaos pops. It looks really, really cool. So I think it's probably why this gets some play. But I also mentioned that Hexblast Mines and the previous build, Exsang Mines, both had large build guides, content creation around them last week. Probably raised their popularity. So that. And with that, we jump into number 1 and number 2. Number 1 and 2 are, I thought, were going to be different. I thought number 2 is going to be Detonate Dead. Number 1 is going to be Bows. Spoiler alert. But Detonate Dead was a very popular build coming into the league. There were 3 major variants: Inquisitor with cast on crit using Lantern Seal Sprain, Necromancer hit based DD of Chain Reaction, self cast, do your Desecrate, do your DD of Chain, everything dies. And then Elementalist using regular DD, Vol DD, and an Ignite. DD is very strong, turns out. So still very good. Has been good for a long time, still very good. I don't see how DD doesn't get nerfed in some way in the patch notes. If it doesn't, it's the number 1 played build again. Number 1 or top 5. Sorry, it'll be in the top 5, probably top 3. I think the big takeaway from this, in softcore at least for sure, Inquisitor was the most played variant of Detonate Dead. I believe Necromancer was close, but the cast on crit really brought it over the top and made it a 1-button build. You're playing softcore, you know people really, really love AFK 1-button builds. Walk around and play the game. Lancing Steel of Sprain is a very strong trigger for any ability that requires a high trigger rate. Fit into Inquisitor super well, and that's kind of why we saw this happen and DD become even stronger than it was previously. Last but not least, of course, we have our Lightning Arrows, and I threw in Elemental Hit of the Spectrum. These two combined, they're about 6% apiece. So about 12% of the player base was playing Lightning Arrow / Alley Hit of the Spectrum the first 3 days on a Deadeye. This is your classic Zoomer bow build. Tornado Shot got giga nerfed in 3.24, which is why you don't see the transition to Tornado Shot anymore. But this is easily one of, if not the best, early mapper in the game. People who love to clear it will pick this. Using Mana Forge Arrow, Storm Rain, I think this is a pretty good, even single target bosser can get pretty good. Not super tanky build. Kind of wants to do more damage before it dies, which is a version of defense, whether you like it or not. Kind of the don't get hit playstyle. You're ranged, do a bunch of damage, clear the screen. I was thinking about this too, is these bow builds, they scale with your bow, how good your bow is, not with level. Elemental Hit of the Spectrum is very good early because it does a bunch of added elemental damage of each element, whereas Lightning Arrow gets stronger later because you're doing big shocks as your bow gets better, because you're making up for that loss of flat damage from Alley Hit of the Spectrum. So, Deadeye, still king of the top 5 list. Takeaway, bows are still really good and popular. I think bows are just gonna always be popular. It's one of the, you look at PoE and you see people are doing massive farming. It's bows, it's Deadeye, it's go fast, clear the screen, do a bunch of damage. We know there's gonna be changes to the way quality works on items. I would expect when GGG buff something like that, they're gonna nerf something else. That could be a nerf to flat added damage from elemental. That would hurt Lightning Arrow, I think. So that's a possibility that I potentially see. Other things we do for my takeaways: nerf DD and Lantern Steel Spray. Lantern Steel Spray's trigger rate is just problematic for the game. It being able to trigger pretty much anything is causing some massive problems, I think, with cast on crit. We saw it with Holy Rail Conviction. I'm sure there's other things available. DD itself is becoming a problem. Take DD out for players, take DD out for enemies. I don't want to die to DD. Just get rid of it. Make it a base flat damage instead of a percentage of the corpse life. Clearly we can't do corpse life stuff. Let's just call it there. One takeaway I'm looking at is we should embrace new transfigured gems earlier. I think we really need to, us as creators, build makers, whatever you want to call us, look at these new transfigured gems more closely and try to figure out what would make them good. Pconc of Bouncing, I think, was a big miss. We just didn't know how the skill worked. I think we could have figured it out pretty quickly. A bunch of people could have played Pathfinder anyways, so and been just fine. Some ascendancies desperately need reworks. We saw that with, I think, Gladiator, Raider, Assassin, a couple others in there that just are really falling behind, even in a league where there was really good parity across the ascendancies. The ones that were bad still remained bad and poorly played. And then lastly, I think we're getting a defense / balance shakeup with gems, and then the way qualities work on items, and just base numbers of defenses on items, where it's like more, there's gonna be more bigger numbers to your items, making gear more important, and then your auras for defense less important, hopefully, maybe. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there, and it's going to really change the way I think League starter builds are going to work, and what kind of auras you're going to run, what kind of gear you're going to be searching for, and how to build defensively while still being strong offensively. Other than that, I'm going to wrap it up there. As always, if you like this video, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of these top 5 League starters from Necropolis League. Not the greatest league, but we still got our top 5. And let me know what do you want to see coming up. We're going to be doing some League start runs. We have this up on the channel, so make sure to click the subscribe button and check out the Twitch link down below. As always, catch you guys next time. Bye.